Alright guys, welcome to another video on PHP. Well, in this video we are just going to look at working with numbers. So basically we are going to look at mathematical operations and some built-in functions. We'll also look at how to get inputs from the user. So basically that will be like your post and the get request. Alright, so let's get started. So as you can see, in the previous video we looked at what's this working with strings, right? And we also looked at built-in functions for strings. If you haven't seen that video, make sure that I leave the link to that video in the description below, so that you can check it out. Anyway, let's check this. Alright, so make sure that you start your server, right? Make sure you always start your server before you can code this. Alright, so let's see. So since we looked at different data types, we said numbers, it would be anything. We have two types of numbers. Said we have what we call integers, and these are like our whole numbers, and we also have floating numbers, and this would be like our decimal places. All right, so let's do some mathematical operations. For example, let me have the first number here. Let's call this num1, and let's have another number, and let's call this num2. Store 4 inside. So if we do something like this, we say, okay, what's happening when we say num1 plus num2? Alright, so basically I'm going to store this inside a variable called sum. Let's just store it there, and let's print it to the screen. So let's display this to the screen. Okay, so let's see what's happening. Go to browser, localhost, and do this. As you can see here, it displayed 9, right? Because we summed 5 plus 4, and it gave us 9. And one of the amazing things is that you can actually combine these with a string, right? To show this, you can say the sum is, and then you display whatever number that you wanna display them. So as you can see, it writes the sum is 9. So if I change those variables, I say this is 15 and then this is like 40. Let's see what happens. It says the sum is 55, right? Or the total is 55. So you get to notice that inside PHP you can do these additions and subtraction, right? So I can do sum 1 minus number 1 minus number 2, and as you can see, it gives me negative 25. And I can also do multiplication. So that would be like 600, and also division, right? And also division. So this will give us this. It won't be a sum, but let's just call it total here, right? So as you can see, the total is that. So basically you get to see that you can create this kind of thing, you know, like your calculator inside your script, your PHP script. And basically that's what happens whenever people use calculators. All right, now let's see something else. Let's see the built-in functions that we can use, you know. So I'm going to display a very simple number. Let's check something like 3 to power 2, you know. Let's do 3 to power 2. So this is going to be 3, and the way you actually do power, it's you do this double asterisk and then you raise it to whatever power that you want. And here, as you can see, I can display that. Let's see. You see now that it's giving us 9. Alright, so it's 3 to power 2, 5 to power 2 again. This would be like 25 from, right, and so on. So this is how you do powers in you write them inside PHP code, right? Now let's look at the built-in functions. So built-in functions are basically functions that come with PHP that of which you can use, right, to do things like this. In this case, like your powers, you know, and then like as you can see here, if I wanted to do things like your sine, your cos, and all those kind of things. So let's look at the one for exponent, because this is the one for power. Okay, so this one is its exponent. I want the one for power. Let's see, because this is e to something, if you know what I mean. So here's the one for power, you know, it returns what? X raised to the power of y. So for example, if we wanted to write this as it is, we would say that power, and then open close brackets. Here I give that 5, and then I'm raising it to 2, right? So this should give me the same answers the previous one. So as you can see, this answer hasn't changed, right? So there are many functions, you know, others like if I want pi, you know, you can just type in this, it will return your pi. If you want to write e to power something, you can use that one. You know, if you want to generate a random number, let's see, you can use rand. As you can see, this one generates a random integer, right? So which means here I can say rand, and when I display this, now it generates a random number. And as you can see, whenever I refresh this, it will keep on generating a random number. Okay, so well, I don't want to make this video long. The built-in functions, whatever built-in functions for numbers that you want, you can get it here. As you can see, if I want for a minimum value, you know, or maximum value, that's one of the things that make this language very easy to learn, you know, because it comes with a lot of this built-in functions which you can use, like your square roots and so on. Okay, so that's it when it comes to numbers, working with numbers. Now let's look at something else, you know. Let's create a simple calculator, an addition calculator. Okay, as you can see right now, this, like we did last time, we set here, we have like num equals to 1. We set num2, it will be equals to whatever number, right? So num1 is that, and num2 is 5. Now we want a calculator that will sum this. Okay, we already looked at this, but I want to show you how you get those inputs from the user. Okay, because right now this is hard coded. I'm getting them directly. I'm just coding them like this, but you know, when you create something like a calculator, you want a user to actually type in those numbers, you know, whatever numbers that they want. So let's display this sum. So all right, so let's go here and then do this. As you can see, 6, right? Okay, so so the way we get it to pass these values here, these very same values here, we can pass them from the HTML by using something like this, you know, just saying question mark there, and you write the variable that you want. So it's like num1, and then what's inside num1, and num2, what's inside num2. Okay, now in order to get these information here, you'll have to use a global variable called the get. This is one of the variables that are already defined here. So this, it will be your get request, you know, where you get that num1, and also you are getting num2, and you'll see why am I actually showing you this in a minute, but for now just bear with me. All right, so the first thing, I'm trying to get these values from this URL, right? So I'm trying to get num1 and also get num2. So let's refresh this and see. All right, undefined what variable num1. Let me see. Okay, let's first start by printing what it's inside our get. All right, so the reason it says undefined here, that's because here, as you can see, there's no num1 and num2, but I have to pass it first, right? I have to pass this like that. Okay, and as you can see, in right now inside our get, there's num1 and num2. I didn't see that. All right, let's open this. Let's open this. All right, let's close this. Now when I refresh this, so you can see this, it says 3. Okay, what it does, it's actually adding these numbers from here. It's getting these variables from here, and then it still does what, just calculating the answer, you know. Let me just write that here. Let's say answer . Let's refresh. Okay, so I just concatenated this without putting a dot there. All right, so as you can see, it says answer is 3, right? Now obviously users don't put inputs here. Okay, they don't normally put inputs here. The way you take inputs from a user, you'll actually take them from a form, you know. They put a form, they'll put those values inside a form. So let's do that. So here's our form, and inside this form we are going to have our inputs, and the type of inputs, it will be text. This one, it will be num1. So on this name, it's what you are going to put this name here, the name of that particular variable. So this one, we are going to call it num1. The other one, let's call this num2. All right, so and then the other thing, I want a submit button, so they put the first number and the second number, and then they press submit or add. Let's just call it add. All right, so this add button, I'm not going to give it a name, so however, I'm going to give it a value. So here, let's just write num1 or first number, and then break a line after this. Okay, so, and also here we want to break a line, and then we say second number, and then break a line, and after this also break a line. So basically, we're making sure that everything goes to its own line, all right, so now let's put this answer, this part of answer after the form. All right, so okay, we are still going to do the very same thing, right? We are still going to do the very same thing. However, now I want you to check something, right? Because if I remove this is going to give me error, this part of num1, summing num1 and num2, right? And that's simply because it doesn't know yet what's num1 and num2. So let's remove this part and press enter. You see that error that we saw before. So what we would want here is that because by default we already have what's this variable get. So we want to check, we want to make a condition here to check if this variable is empty. So if it's empty, basically we don't want to sum, right? However, if it's not empty, that's when we want to do the following things. That's when we want to add all these, number 1 and number 2. Okay. Okay, cool. So now let's refresh. You'll see that error is no longer there, right? So now here a user can type in any input like 4 and 7, and when they add, as you can see, those inputs were passed into this, and we got them from here, and we displayed the answer down there. So that would be the very simple calculator, additional calculator, right? And that request that we looked at right now, it's a get request. You normally see forms whenever you log into websites and everything, right? So it's either there you take a username or password, whatever form that we normally use to get information, right? In that case, in a case where you don't want to show information here, that's when we look at the second request, of which is a post request, right? So when you want a user to pass inputs in to the program, but you don't want that information to display here, all right? So let's come here and change our form a bit. So this form by default, as you saw, it uses a get request as its method of passing the inputs. Now we want to change that. We want to change it into post, and post is just another, just like get, it's another global variables, predefined global variables, right? So when you actually post, this information is going to be stored into that global variable, and here we can then now test whether our post request is not empty, and if it's not empty, and then do this. Okay, so now you will see I would remove this information here. Still it doesn't give me errors, but now I can add information here like 14, and then when I say add, all right, let me see. I think I just made a mistake. Okay, I made a mistake here because I'm getting this as what, as a get instead of a post. Remember, when you change the method there, you must also change this. It's good to find these errors. Don't be afraid of getting the error. Just read what it says. In this case, it was telling me that there's an undefined index num1, right? All right, so now let's do it again. If I say 7 and 13, as you can see, now it displays the answer here as 20, but look at this, it didn't pass any information there. That's very good for things like what passwords, whenever someone submits a form using their credentials, you don't want to show that to anyone who's actually near to you, so in that case, if, for example, if we change this num2 into something like password instead of text, you'll see when I type now under that second number 45 plus 1, you see there that number is hidden, right? I hide it here. I'll also hide it on the URL, but now when I add this, that gives me 46. And yeah, well, that's it, guys. Like I said, I don't want to make this video long, but I hope it explains the concept. In this video, remember, we looked at how to work with numbers, their built-in functions, and also the post and the get request. Until next time, cheers.